Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be doing an exciting video which a lot of you asked me while we were on our Vancouver trip, and the debatable question is Calgary versus Vancouver, best city to live. So I will be explaining a few points and I will be comparing Calgary and Vancouver. At the end of the video, I'll be coming to a conclusion and letting you know which city is best to live. So let's get down to it. Number one, public transit. Now, transit in Vancouver is top-notch. Their transit system is really well maintained. So you can directly board the Canada Line train from Vancouver Airport. If you have watched my Vancouver video, the link is here if you haven't watched it yet. And you should see that we used the Canada Line train from the airport and we bought our pass from the airport. So there was this signboard where you could see train to city. We followed those signage from the airport and then we bought this compress card which can be found at the airport. You have to buy it. And what we basically did is we loaded some money in this compress card. There were options to load 20, 30, 40 or how much money you wanted to load. So we loaded a certain amount and then we used this as a tap-in to use it for the Canada Line and then go to our Airbnb. We have used this compress card throughout the trip and we have kept this compress card with us for our future Vancouver trips, as it's reusable, and that's the best part about Vancouver transit cards. You can use this one card every month, every day, and you don't need to keep on buying passes. You can even load your cards online, and I will be posting the links down below, your amount online on the card, and it will just be a contactless tap-in whenever you enter into the bus or train. And you don't even need to pay. As long as you have the card preloaded from before, you're good to go. You can also convert the compress card to daily passes, and that costs about $10.50. So the advantage of converting it to a daily pass is because Vancouver has 3 zones, zone 1, 2 and 3, and the fare varies whenever you change the zone. So for example, if you were to go from downtown Vancouver to Richmond or Bridgeport Station to board the ferry to Victoria, fare for Bridgeport Station or Richmond would be more than downtown Vancouver's, as the zones are different. So if you convert your compress card to daily passes, the zone fare is same for all the 3 zones and you don't have to worry about additional money being cut. Another thing to notice as well, that after 6:30 p.m. on weekdays and also during weekends, the zones are same fares. So that means that 1, 2 and 3 zones will all have the same fares. So if you are going on a weekend to Vancouver, then you don't need to worry about these zones. But if you're traveling in weekdays before 6:30 p.m., then the zone fares will vary, and it's best to convert your compress card to a daily pass, as you will be using the transit a few times and it's way cheaper than using taxi or Uber. Now for Calgary, as I have mentioned in a lot of videos, that you do need to buy the monthly pass if you are using public transit and if you don't own a car. So we don't own a car and we use the monthly bus pass, and the bus pass costs $109 and it's pretty expensive, but since we use the transit daily, it's affordable for us and it's obviously a cheaper option. If you're using it 30 days or 25 days in a month, then obviously getting a monthly pass is more convenient. Now let's say that you wanted to come to Calgary and you are in the airport and you don't know how to go to downtown Calgary. So you can board a bus which is number 300 and it comes to the airport every 30 minutes from 5 a.m. to midnight. You can board that bus, but you do need to buy a boarding pass from the airport, and it will cost you $8. And you can find this in Mac's store in the airport, and the buses are usually coming to gate C of the airport, so domestic terminal gate C, and you can board number 300, which will take you from airport to downtown Calgary. There are no trains, unfortunately. There are no train lines like Vancouver, so that makes Vancouver more convenient than Calgary. Also, another thing we realized when we were traveling in Vancouver, that all the transits always come on time. So for Calgary, especially during the winter, the buses or trains may delay, and sometimes you need to wait an additional 5 to 7 minutes each time. And if you are, let's say, going to many different routes, and suppose one bus delays 5 to 7 minutes, but the next bus would come around that time, so you will miss the next bus, and in that way you're waiting longer for the second bus. But for Vancouver, you can actually see the live timings of the bus and the routes, so which is really cool to see, and you don't need to even worry about going to some place. It's always accurate, and you know exactly what time you're reaching. And in our 4 days in Vancouver, there was not a single day that we saw that the buses or the trains were coming late, and it was perfectly on time. So public transit wise, I am giving 1 point to Vancouver, 0 points to Calgary. Moving on to number 2, cleanliness. Now, Calgary has been voted the cleanest city at least 2 to 3 times in a row from 2016 to 18, I think. I'm not sure though, but they were voted for 2 to 3 times in a row. And it is really true. If you ever come to Calgary, you are going to see that the city is really, really clean. Even when it snows, everybody, whoever is cleaning the streets, they make sure that the snows are not on the roads, and they are removed the next day, and there are very little dirty snow or ice, black ice remaining on the sidelines, and it's mostly clean. When we went to Vancouver, we were surprised to see that a lot of the parts of the city weren't as clean as we thought it would be, and we found it also a little bit disappointing, especially the east side of downtown Vancouver. And since we were using the public transit, we even got to see that there were a lot of homeless people living on the streets, especially from Jackson Avenue to Gore Avenue, Powell Street, East Hastings Street. All these sections had a lot of homeless people and a lot of drug addicts roaming around, even in broad daylight. And the restaurants were really secured with bar chains, the ones which you see in movies. And that indicates how risky those areas are to live. And we were really surprised. Even at night, we saw people lying down on the streets, and there were just a lot of homeless people. In Calgary, there are homeless people around the stations, but not as much as we have seen in downtown Vancouver. And this was really surprising to see, and we were a little scared, I would say, when we were roaming around in those streets. We weren't really roaming around, we were waiting for our buses in those streets, and that's when we saw these homeless people and drug addicts, and those places look worse than a lot of third world countries places, or as bad as them. So you can imagine how much shocked we were when we saw that. Cleanliness wise, I'll give 1 to Calgary, 0 to Vancouver. So we are on a tie right now. Let's move on. Number 3, expensive. Which city is more expensive? As I have mentioned in my top 5 reasons to move to Calgary video, that the reason why we moved to Calgary is because there is no provincial sales tax, only GST. So that's the sales tax only, but there is no provincial PST added to it. So it's only 5% in Calgary. But in Vancouver, it's 7% of PST, provincial sales tax, and a 5% of GST. So that's an additional of 12%, and it's way more expensive. So we have tried to book the cheapest Airbnb, which is the closest to downtown, because if you are a tourist, you would want to stay in the downtown area, as there are a lot of things to see on your short stay, and it's best to stay around downtown. So we have booked an Airbnb for 3 nights and it costed us $275, while as we also did stay in an Airbnb when we first came to Calgary, and we also took the Airbnb right outside downtown, and it costed us $500 for 10 nights. And over here we only stayed 3 nights and it costed us $275. So that is really expensive. Plus the food and everything, we didn't buy much, we just bought a couple books, and mainly our money just went on transport and food. And food is really expensive in Vancouver because obviously they do have all the provincial sales taxes added to everything, which makes it more expensive compared to Calgary. So if you want to save money and obviously if you want to lessen your expenses, then Calgary would be a better place to live. Also to keep in mind that the minimum wage for Calgary is higher compared to Vancouver. So it starts at 15, but for Vancouver I think it's 14.5. I'm not exactly sure, but it is less than Calgary, and that makes it a better option to live in Calgary if you want to work and save. And in this point, Calgary wins it. So 2 points for Calgary, 1 point for Vancouver. Moving on to point number 4, the weather. Now, this is a very interesting topic, and different people may have different opinions in it. I will explain you my opinion. So Vancouver is known for its milder temperatures. So that means they have milder winters, and their winters are the best in Canada, as in they barely go to minus temperatures, and even if they do, their lowest is -5. While as for Calgary, an average is -10, and Calgary is known as a winter city, so it does go down to -30 at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks sometimes, and -15 to -20 is the average for January to middle of February. If you compare it that way, then yes, Calgary has harsher temperatures, but Calgary has sun most days, and Calgary is the sunniest city in Canada. It has around 330 days of the sun. And if you've seen my vlogs or my stories on Instagram, we did go hiking recently and the sun was there even though it was cold. So Calgary is sunny almost throughout the year. And the problem with Vancouver is that even though it has milder temperatures, so it still didn't snow in Vancouver. We are in the middle of December almost, and Vancouver is ranging from 6 to 8 degrees, so that's pleasant, I would say, but it's raining all the time. It's so gloomy and it's raining, and you're always going to be worried about when it's going to rain. And if you're going sightseeing or trying to do something in Vancouver, I would find it personally annoying to be worried about the rain constantly and to have some of my plans cancelled, because you can still go sightseeing in winter. All you need to do is layer up, and it doesn't matter even if it's snowing. You just need to wear good snow boots and you can still go sightseeing or do things you want to do. But if it's raining, you're all wet and it's just a mood destroyer for me, at least. So even though Calgary has harsher winters, the only reason why I am giving Calgary this point is because I don't like the rain at all. Both of us actually, we don't like the rain at all, and we'd prefer the snow over rain any day. And it's really gloomy in Vancouver. We barely saw the sun. It only lasted for a couple hours, sometimes 4 hours, which was the maximum we have seen the 4 days we have stayed in both Vancouver and Victoria. So based on those things, I would give 1 point to Calgary over here, just because we don't like the rain and we don't want to be living our lives scared of the rain and wondering when will it come, and just not plan things anymore because of that. 3 points to Calgary, 1 point to Vancouver. Moving on to point number 5, the liveliness of the city. Now, Vancouver is a very lively city, more compared to Calgary. Even though we went during COVID times, it was still more lively compared to Calgary on a good day. And even after dark, you can do a lot of things. You can roam around the city. A lot of the restaurants are open for dining, and the city are still filled with lights, and you can see people roaming around everywhere in downtown Vancouver. But for Calgary, after the sun sets, especially on winter days, even before COVID, you wouldn't see people around that much. It's not so happening, and there is not much of a nightlife. So if you were looking to have a nightlife and you were one of those people who likes to enjoy more at night, or after work you want to party and you want to be experiencing things around the city, then Vancouver would definitely be your city to go to, as it's more happening compared to Calgary. Calgary is a very quiet city. It's mostly preferred for nature and for families who have kids and they want some peace and serenity. So Calgary is great for that. There are less crowds. But if you were obviously in your 20s or in your 30s and you wanted to have fun, you wanted to live it up a little, then Vancouver would be your city to go to. Just because we aren't the party type and we like it quiet and just avoid the crowd, we prefer Calgary than Vancouver, but Vancouver wins my vote over here for things to do. So 2 points to Vancouver and 3 points to Calgary. So I am ending it over here. These were my top 5 points. And yes, Calgary does win it for me. But hey, I am biased and I am living in Calgary. Different people can have different opinions. These are my opinions, and if you are living in Vancouver or if you thought otherwise, please leave it in the comments below. Which city would you pick and why would you pick them? I'm always curious to know what people think, and I'm always welcoming new opinions, and I would also love to know more. So these were my thoughts on best city to live. Just because I prefer the weather to be not raining all the time, and I don't like the PSG, and of course I like the cleanliness. But obviously if you thought that the GST and PSG doesn't make much of a difference, if you are doing a great job and small differences in these percentages don't matter much to you, and you like rain or milder temperatures compared to harsher winter, then obviously I could see that Vancouver could be your choice. But again, like I said, that different people have different opinions, and for me, I guess I am biased, and I would say that Calgary is the best city to live. So I hope you guys liked this video today. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I hope to see you guys in my next video real soon. It will be about our winter hike which we did, and it's going to be really exciting. So stay tuned, we'll be posting that shortly. Till then, bye.